Super Rugby AU, the final. It's the teams that we kind of assumed it would be. The Brumbies and the Reds. Maybe the Brumbies went into this season as the favourites, but they managed to get the results over the Reds twice this season. That being said, the Reds, who were almost through the season undefeated, the regular season, did drop that one last game. So the Reds finished the regular season with a 7-1 record. The Brumbies 6-2. Remember, the Reds have had a week off, and the Brumbies had to play the Force. They got a pretty comfortable win in Canberra. So we will see these guys play Saturday night. I think it's like 7:45. 9:45 over here in New Zealand anyway. So hope you guys in Queensland are going to get out to the game, or at least in Brisbane, because I know Queensland's a pretty big state. You might not be just around the corner from Suncorp. But anyway, hopefully it's a good crowd for this one. It is a final. Yeah, I'm hoping it's a pretty good game. I don't really mind who wins. Something about me would kind of like Brad Thorne to get his hands on some silverware. But anyway, we will see how things go. We'll go through the squads quickly, some of the stats, and yeah, you guys can let me know your thoughts on how you think this one might be going to play out. Reds have named a pretty stable lineup with a few changes from that team that lost that final game to the Force. The same front row with Fotuaika, Paenga-Amosa and Tupou. They'll certainly be looking to get dominance at scrum time. Ryan Smith gets a start at lock after being on the bench a couple of weeks ago. Remember, they started Angus Scott Young in the second row in that game, so he moves back to the back row in a more traditional lineup. Salakaia-Loto is still there in the second row. Scott Young, like I mentioned, Fraser, McReight and Harry Wilson is 6, 7, 8. Fraser McReight has been one of the kind of revelations of the Reds season. I mean, the Reds season started off with Liam Wright pulling out with a big old injury, virtually season ending. He is back, but he only made the last few games of the season. That seemed like a massive blow early on, but Fraser McReight has just gone from strength to strength. He gets loads of tackles. He carries really well. He's a beast at the breakdown, so he's having an absolute phenomenal season. I think he's outshone Harry Wilson, who was maybe the darling of like a year ago when he was just busting everything up from number 8. So McReight has, he's been one of the players of the season for mine. I know James O'Connor got voted the MVP, but it's first fives, man. It's always about them. 9 and 10 is McDermott and James O'Connor. And James O'Connor has been really good. Don't let me be cynical and take anything away from him. It's just if you look at like World Players of the Year and whatnot, if you go with 10 on your back, you're more likely to get plaudits than a guy with a single digit on your back anyway. Tate McDermott's come pretty good, but his battle with Nick White will also be one that maybe Dave Rennie will be looking at pretty hard, because Nick White's the incumbent, but Tate McDermott still has a lot to show for the efforts he puts in. Stewart and Flook as the 12-13 combo. The biggest guy missing in the lineup is probably Hunter Paisami. He is injured, so he is not available, so Flook steps up into 13. I wasn't initially a fan of Flook when he first started getting some minutes, but actually he's a pretty solid player, young man. Jock Campbell's back on the left wing, Jordan Petaia is on the right wing, and Hegarty is there at fullback. The bench has got Mafi, who's one of the top try scorers. Udu is there. Liam Wright is on the bench, so he's the club captain, but he's not the captain for this game. That is James O'Connor. Kalani Thomas, Filippo Daugunu has been one of the more dangerous guys. He is also on the bench. So Brad Thorne's kind of resisted the urge to put Petaia in at 13 and play Daugunu. So it's an interesting one that Flook gets the nod, but as I said, I initially wasn't that impressed, but he did show himself to be a pretty dangerous young player. For the Brumbies, bad news in terms of injury for them is that Samu is also out, and likewise Slipper. So yeah, it's been a bit of a reshuffle for them as well, especially against the Reds. You really don't want one of your best props out. But anyway, so Seru gets a start. Good chance for him to crack on, because remember, he's kind of a bit of a falling star at the moment in terms of Wallabies selection. Lachie Lonergan, interestingly, gets a start ahead of Fainga'a. Fainga'a is not injured. He is on the bench, so it's a big call from Dan McKellar. Alan Alaalatoa is there at tight head. He is captain. Swain and Neville have maybe been the best locking duo in Super Rugby AU, both providing heaps of tackles and really good line-out numbers, which is kind of the core role of a second rower. Frost is interestingly at 6, Rory Scott is at 7, and Rob Valtini moves from 6 to 8. So we have seen him play 8 at least once this season. Last week, Rob Valtini was absolutely throwing his body into everything, and I hope we see more of that. because he's such a big unit. He can do it, but we often see him not. But he seemed to kind of go no holds barred last week. So more of the same, please. Hopefully he stays fit. Nick White and Lolosio are the 19 combo. Again, that's a Wallabies battle in itself. White and McDermott and Lolosio against O'Connor. Kind of the incumbent on each side in terms of O'Connor and White against the young guy in Lolosio and McDermott. Simone and Ikitau have been a pretty good midfield as well. Simone has certainly proven he's got the all-round game. He can kick, he can pass, he can tackle. He can take the ball to the line, a bit of everything. Tom Wright's been absolutely dangerous since he came back. He's on the left wing, Muirhead's on the right wing. And Tom Banks has got some of the best numbers you will see of any player in Super Rugby AU. He is there at fullback. Fainga'a, as I mentioned, on the bench. Stowers, who signed, remember, he was playing for the Force last year. He gets his Brumbies debut from the bench, so it's a hell of a game to make your debut. Pasitoa's there, Ryan Lonergan, Mac Hansen, and so on. The head-to-head stuff, in all the key categories, generally these two teams are first and second in Super Rugby AU. There's a reason these two teams are in the final. Clean breaks, first the Reds, second the Brumbies, and the Brumbies actually played one more game, but they couldn't topple the Reds in terms of number of clean breaks. So your top guys for that, Tom Banks for the Brumbies, Dalgunu and Jock Campbell for the Reds. So very dangerous guys to keep an eye on. Carries. Interestingly, the Reds have the most clean breaks, but they have the fewest carries in Super Rugby AU. So in terms of their amount of danger they can generate per carry, they are a very, very dangerous side. The Brumbies are third. Run meters, it's first and second. The Brumbies have clocked up the most. The Reds are second. Defenders beat, that's first and second. The Reds have clocked up the most. The Brumbies are second. But remember, the Brumbies have played another game, so they maybe should have passed them, but it's only one extra game. Tackling percentages, the Brumbies are first, the Reds are second. So both defensively, the most solid sides. Line-out wins, though, is one area where the Brumbies maybe look to get a bit of dominance. As I mentioned, that lock and duo is pretty crucial. They're the best side in Super Rugby for their line-out, operating at 92.2%. The Brumbies, with Neville being a key man there. The Reds are fourth out of 5 teams, so 86.9%. Salakaia-Loto, the main guy. But then, continuing on with the set-piece theme, the Reds have got the best scrum in the business in Super Rugby AU. So the Brumbies are apparently second, but we've seen them get bullied a wee bit from time to time, and without Slipper, it may be an area that the Reds, it will certainly be an area that the Reds target. Top try scorers for each side. Mafi's got 6, Tupou's got 5, and Dalgunu's got 4. So a hooker, a prop, and a winger. Bit of an interesting mix. It's Banks and Wright for the Brumbies, so 2 of their outside backs, rather than a team that only mauls it, which is kind of the reputation that the Brumbies have. They have played twice, and it was 2-point wins both times for the Reds, so never all that convincing. The Brumbies will be pretty heartbroken. They couldn't get results in either of those games. 38-40 in Canberra in round 4, and round 8 it was 24-22. With the Reds coming out on top both times. The bookies have got this one being pretty close. The Reds 4-point favourites according to the bookies over here in New Zealand. And Rugby Forecast algorithm also has it being relatively close, saying Reds by 6. So yeah. You guys let me know your thoughts. How do you think these teams are going to go in Super Rugby AU's final? Hoping for a good game. 9:45 for me here in New Zealand. Definitely be watching this one. I'll do a live stream for it as well if you guys want to watch along. But otherwise, you guys let me know your thoughts. Who are you backing for this one? Are you going to the game? And yeah, I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.